Throughout human history, one question has haunted every civilization, every culture, and every individual who has ever walked this earth. What happens when we die? It's the ultimate mystery, the final frontier of human understanding. We've built religions, philosophies, and entire worldviews trying to answer this question. But what if there was a book, a mysterious ancient tome, that actually held the answers? What if someone discovered a manuscript that explained, in meticulous detail, exactly what occurs in those final moments and beyond? Today, we're going to explore this fascinating concept, a mysterious book that claims to reveal the secrets of death itself. Imagine walking into an old library, dust particles dancing in the afternoon sunlight. You're searching for something, though you're not quite sure what. Then you see it, a book with no title on its spine, bound in leather so dark it's almost black, with pages that seem to shimmer with an otherworldly quality. When you open it, the words begin to glow faintly, and you realize this is no ordinary book. The pages contain descriptions of experiences reported by people who have had near-death experiences, combined with ancient wisdom from mystical traditions, scientific observations, and testimonies from those who claim to have glimpsed the afterlife. This is the book we're talking about today. The mysterious manuscript begins with a profound statement. Death is not an ending, but a transition. It describes how, in the moments before death, the human consciousness begins to separate from the physical body. The book explains that this process is gradual, not instantaneous. According to its pages, the dying person first experiences a profound sense of peace, a release from pain and suffering. Their sensory perception begins to shift. Sounds become muted, colors become more vivid, and time seems to lose all meaning. The book describes this as the threshold state, a liminal space between the physical world and whatever lies beyond. One of the most compelling sections of this mysterious book details what happens to our consciousness during this transition. It explains that our awareness doesn't simply vanish. Instead, it transforms. The book describes how memories begin to crystallize, becoming more vivid and real than they ever were in life. People report seeing their entire life flash before their eyes, but according to this manuscript, it's more than just a memory. It's a complete re-experiencing of every moment, every emotion, every consequence of their actions. The book calls this the life review, and it suggests that this process is crucial for the soul's understanding of its earthly journey. The manuscript goes further, describing the sensations that follow this life review. It speaks of a tunnel, a passage of light, and a profound sense of moving towards something greater. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. The book explains that this experience is universal, yet deeply personal. What one person perceives as a tunnel of light, another might experience as walking through a familiar place from their childhood. The book suggests that our consciousness creates these experiences based on our beliefs, expectations, and cultural backgrounds. It's as if the universe is meeting us halfway, translating the incomprehensible into something our minds can process and understand. The mysterious book also addresses the question of whether death is painful. According to its pages, physical pain ceases almost immediately as consciousness begins to separate from the body. However, the book describes a different kind of pain that some souls experience: emotional pain. Those who lived with regrets, guilt, or unfinished business report experiencing a profound sense of remorse during the life review. But the book emphasizes that this is not punishment, it's understanding. It's the soul recognizing the impact of its actions on others and on itself. This recognition, the book suggests, is the beginning of healing and growth that continues in whatever realm lies beyond. As we delve deeper into the pages of this mysterious book, we encounter descriptions of what exists beyond the initial transition. The manuscript describes multiple realms or dimensions that souls inhabit after death, and these descriptions are remarkably consistent with accounts from various spiritual traditions around the world. The book explains that immediately after death, souls find themselves in what it calls the first realm, a place that appears remarkably similar to the physical world they just left. This realm is described as being composed of thought and consciousness rather than matter, which means that whatever you believe, whatever you imagine, manifests instantly in this space. The book provides extraordinary detail about how this first realm functions. It explains that souls initially remain in this realm because they are not yet ready to accept their death or move forward. Some souls, according to the manuscript, don't even realize they're dead at first. They continue trying to interact with the physical world, attempting to communicate with loved ones, or remaining attached to places and people they cared about in life. The book describes this as a necessary phase of adjustment and acceptance. It's not a punishment or a trap, but rather a natural part of the transition process. The soul must come to terms with its new state of existence before it can progress further. One of the most intriguing sections of this mysterious manuscript describes what the book calls guides, or beings of light. According to the pages, every soul is met by these entities, beings who have progressed further in their spiritual evolution and who serve as helpers and teachers. The book explains that these guides are often people we knew in life, departed loved ones, spiritual mentors, or beings we've never met, but who have a connection to our soul. They appear in forms that are comforting and recognizable to us, helping us understand our new reality and guiding us through the transition. The manuscript emphasizes that these guides never force anything upon us. They respect our free will completely, offering guidance only when we're ready to receive it. The book then describes progression through additional realms, each one representing a higher level of consciousness and spiritual development. The second realm, according to the manuscript, is a place of learning and growth. Here, souls gather in communities of like-minded individuals, engaging in what the book describes as spiritual education. They review their lives in greater depth, understanding not just their own actions, but the interconnected nature of all existence. They learn about the laws of the universe, the nature of consciousness, and the purpose behind their earthly existence. The book suggests that this learning is not academic in nature. It's experiential and deeply transformative. The third realm, as described in the mysterious book, is characterized by even greater levels of consciousness and unity. Here, souls begin to merge with larger collective consciousnesses while maintaining their individual identity. The book describes this as a paradox that our living minds struggle to comprehend, being simultaneously individual and part of a greater whole. In this realm, souls engage in what the manuscript calls co-creation, working together with other evolved beings to shape the nature of reality itself. The book suggests that what we perceive as coincidences, synchronicities, and divine interventions in the physical world are often the result of souls in these higher realms working to guide and support those still living. The manuscript also addresses the concept of hell or negative realms, but in a way that challenges traditional religious interpretations. According to the book, there is no external punishment administered by a vengeful deity. Instead, the book explains that souls create their own experiences based on their consciousness and beliefs. A soul filled with guilt, shame, and self-condemnation will experience a realm that reflects these internal states. The book describes this as a natural consequence of consciousness, not as divine punishment. However, the manuscript emphasizes that even in these darker realms, help is available. Guides and evolved beings constantly work to help souls recognize their self-imposed limitations and move toward healing and growth. The mysterious book concludes this section by describing what it calls the source, or divine consciousness, the ultimate reality from which all existence emanates. According to the manuscript, the progression through these realms is ultimately a journey toward reunion with this source. The book explains that we are all fragments of this divine consciousness, temporarily experiencing existence as individual beings to gain wisdom and understanding. Death is simply a step in an infinite journey of spiritual evolution. The book suggests that some souls progress quickly through these realms, while others take much longer, depending on their spiritual development and readiness to grow. But ultimately, all souls are destined to return to the source, carrying with them the wisdom gained from their experiences. Now we arrive at one of the most profound and detailed sections of this mysterious book, the complete explanation of the life review and how our actions create consequences that extend far beyond our physical death. The manuscript describes the life review not as a judgment, but as a comprehensive re-experiencing and understanding of every moment of our lives. According to the book, during this process, we don't just remember our actions, we experience them from multiple perspectives simultaneously. We feel the impact of our choices not only on ourselves, but on every person we encountered, every life we touched, directly or indirectly. The book provides extraordinary detail about how this process works. It explains that when we perform an act of kindness, we experience the joy and gratitude it creates in the recipient. We feel how that kindness ripples outward, affecting their subsequent actions and interactions with others. Conversely, when we cause harm, whether through deliberate cruelty or thoughtless negligence, we experience the pain and suffering we inflicted. But here's the crucial point the book emphasizes. This is not about punishment or guilt. It's about understanding. It's about the soul gaining complete comprehension of its interconnectedness with all other beings and recognizing the profound responsibility that comes with existence. The manuscript describes how this life review process is facilitated by what the book calls karmic guides, evolved beings who help us understand the deeper patterns and lessons within our lives. These guides don't judge us. They help us see ourselves with perfect clarity. According to the book, many people during the life review experience profound remorse for actions they took or failed to take. They see opportunities for kindness they missed, relationships they neglected, and potential they never developed. But the book emphasizes that this remorse is not meant to create suffering. It's meant to create understanding and motivation for future growth. One of the most fascinating aspects of the mysterious book's explanation involves what it calls karmic debt and karmic credit. The manuscript explains that every action we take creates energetic consequences that must eventually be balanced. When we create suffering, we incur a debt that we must eventually repay through our own suffering or through acts of service and compassion. Conversely, when we create joy and help others, we accumulate credit that can manifest as blessings and opportunities in future lives or in the spiritual realms. The book emphasizes that this is not a system of punishment and reward administered by an external judge. It's a natural law of the universe, as fundamental as the law of gravity. The book then describes how this karmic understanding influences a soul's decisions about future incarnations. According to the manuscript, after the life review, souls have the opportunity to plan their next life, to choose the circumstances, challenges, and opportunities that will help them balance their karma and continue their spiritual evolution. The book explains that souls often choose difficult lives to repay karmic debts or to develop specific spiritual qualities they need to cultivate. A soul might choose to be born into poverty, to develop compassion, or into a family with conflict to learn forgiveness. The book emphasizes that these choices are made freely, with full understanding of what they entail, and always with the goal of spiritual growth. The mysterious book also addresses the question of whether we can change our karma or escape its consequences. According to the manuscript, karma is not fixed or immutable. The book explains that through conscious awareness, genuine remorse, and committed change, we can transform our karmic trajectory. A soul that recognizes the harm it has caused and dedicates itself to creating healing and positive change can significantly reduce its karmic debt. The book provides examples of souls who, through their dedication to service and compassion in subsequent lives, transform themselves from beings of darkness into beings of light. This transformation is always possible, the book emphasizes, because the universe is fundamentally oriented toward healing and growth. The book concludes this section by describing how the life review and karmic understanding create a profound shift in consciousness. Souls that have experienced this process return to the physical world, either in new incarnations or through spiritual influence, with a completely transformed perspective. They understand, at the deepest level, that all beings are interconnected, that their actions matter profoundly, and that the purpose of existence is to grow in wisdom and compassion. The book suggests that many of the great spiritual teachers, healers, and compassionate leaders throughout history were souls who had undergone this process and returned to the physical world with this understanding burning in their hearts. As we continue through the pages of this mysterious book, we encounter detailed explanations of reincarnation and the intricate systems that govern how souls return to physical existence. The manuscript challenges many common misconceptions about reincarnation, explaining that it's not a random or chaotic process, but rather a carefully orchestrated journey of spiritual evolution. According to the book, souls don't reincarnate because they've failed or because they're being punished. Instead, reincarnation is a deliberate choice made by evolved souls who recognize that physical incarnation offers unique opportunities for growth that cannot be achieved in non-physical realms. The book explains that before reincarnating, souls engage in extensive planning with their guides and with what the manuscript calls their soul group. A soul group, according to the book, is a collection of souls who have been incarnating together across multiple lifetimes, playing different roles in each other's lives. These souls have deep connections and agreements with one another. One soul might be your parent in one lifetime, your child in another, your best friend in a third, and your greatest adversary in a fourth. The book explains that these varied relationships serve a purpose. They allow souls to experience different perspectives, develop different qualities, and create the specific circumstances needed for their spiritual evolution. The mysterious manuscript provides fascinating detail about how souls choose their incarnations. According to the book, souls carefully select the time period, the geographical location, the family they'll be born into, and the specific challenges and opportunities they'll face. The book explains that this selection process is guided by several factors: the karmic lessons the soul needs to learn, the service the soul wants to provide to humanity, the relationships the soul wants to develop with other members of its soul group, and the specific spiritual qualities the soul wants to cultivate. The book emphasizes that while souls have free will in making these choices, they also receive guidance from evolved beings who help them understand the likely consequences and outcomes of different options. One particularly intriguing section of the book describes what it calls life contracts, or soul agreements. According to the manuscript, before incarnating, souls make agreements with other souls about how they'll interact in the upcoming lifetime. These agreements can be positive or challenging. For example, two souls might agree that one will betray the other, creating an opportunity for the betrayed soul to develop forgiveness, and for the betraying soul to experience the consequences of its actions and learn compassion. The book explains that these agreements are made with full consciousness and understanding, and that both souls recognize the value of the experience they're about to create together. The manuscript emphasizes that even difficult relationships, abusive parents, cruel friends, bitter enemies, often represent soul agreements designed to facilitate growth. The book then addresses the question of why we don't remember our past lives or our pre-incarnation planning. According to the manuscript, this forgetting is intentional and necessary. The book explains that if we remembered our past lives and our soul agreements, we would lose the authentic experience that physical incarnation is designed to provide. We would know too much. We would be unable to genuinely struggle, learn, and grow. The forgetting creates what the book calls the veil, a barrier between our physical consciousness and our spiritual knowledge. This veil allows us to experience life as genuinely as possible, to make authentic choices, and to develop real wisdom through lived experience rather than intellectual knowledge. However, the mysterious book also explains that this veil is not impenetrable. According to the manuscript, through meditation, hypnosis, dreams, and spiritual practice, we can access memories of past lives and glimpses of our spiritual nature. The book describes how many people throughout history have had spontaneous past life memories or have experienced sudden recognition of someone they're meeting for the first time, what's commonly called déjà vu. The manuscript suggests that these experiences are the veil thinning, allowing our spiritual knowledge to peek through into our physical consciousness. The book emphasizes that these glimpses serve a purpose. They remind us of our true nature and help us align our current life with our deeper spiritual purpose. The book concludes this section by describing the ultimate purpose of reincarnation, the evolution of consciousness itself. According to the manuscript, each lifetime we live, each lesson we learn, each person we help, and each challenge we overcome contributes not just to our individual spiritual development, but to the collective evolution of human consciousness. The book suggests that humanity as a whole is undergoing a massive spiritual transformation, and that many souls are incarnating now specifically to participate in this transformation. These souls, according to the book, carry within them a deep knowing of this purpose, even if they can't consciously articulate it. The manuscript emphasizes that every person alive today has chosen to be here at this particular moment in history, and that this choice reflects their commitment to contributing to humanity's spiritual awakening. As we reach the final section of this mysterious book, we encounter the most profound and transformative messages. Wisdom that the manuscript claims comes from souls who have progressed far beyond the physical realm, and who have returned this knowledge to help guide humanity toward greater understanding. The book explains that these messages have been transmitted throughout history through various channels: spiritual teachers, mystics, artists, and ordinary people who have experienced moments of profound insight or connection with the divine. The manuscript presents these messages in a comprehensive way, synthesizing wisdom from multiple sources and presenting it in a form that speaks to the modern consciousness. The first major message the book emphasizes is that death is not to be feared. According to the manuscript, fear of death is one of the primary obstacles preventing humans from living fully and authentically. The book explains that when we truly understand what death is, a transition, a homecoming, a natural part of an infinite journey, that fear dissolves. We realize that death is not the enemy, it's a doorway. And once we stop fearing death, we begin to live differently. We take more risks, we love more openly, we pursue our passions more courageously, and we treat others with greater compassion, knowing that our time together is precious and finite. The manuscript suggests that this shift in perspective alone could transform human civilization. The second major message concerns the nature of love and connection. According to the mysterious book, love is not merely an emotion, it's the fundamental force of the universe. The book explains that all souls are ultimately connected through love, and that this connection persists beyond death. When we love someone deeply, that love doesn't end when they die. It continues in a transformed state. The manuscript describes how souls who have passed on can still influence and support their living loved ones through dreams, intuitions, synchronicities, and moments of inspiration. The book emphasizes that maintaining connection with those who have died, through remembrance, through continuing the values they embodied, through speaking to them in our hearts, creates a bridge between worlds and facilitates ongoing spiritual growth for both the living and the deceased. The book then presents a message about the purpose of suffering and difficulty. According to the manuscript, suffering is not meaningless or random. It's a catalyst for spiritual growth. The book explains that the souls who face the greatest challenges and overcome them often become the greatest teachers and healers. Suffering creates compassion, develops strength, and motivates us to seek deeper meaning and understanding. The manuscript emphasizes that this doesn't mean we should seek out suffering or accept injustice passively. Rather, it means that when suffering comes, as it inevitably does in human life, we can recognize it as an opportunity for transformation, rather than viewing it as purely negative. The book suggests that this shift in perspective can help us move through difficult times with greater grace and emerge from them with greater wisdom. One of the most powerful messages in this section concerns what the book calls the illusion of separation. According to the manuscript, one of the greatest truths that souls discover after death is that separation is an illusion. We are not isolated individuals struggling alone in an indifferent universe. Rather, we are all expressions of a single divine consciousness, temporarily experiencing existence as separate beings. The book explains that this realization fundamentally transforms how we relate to others. When we truly understand that we are all one, that harming another is harming ourselves, and that helping another is helping ourselves, we naturally begin to live with greater compassion, integrity, and cooperation. The manuscript suggests that as more humans awaken to this truth, human civilization will naturally evolve toward greater peace, justice, and harmony. The mysterious book also presents a message about the power of consciousness to shape reality. According to the manuscript, consciousness is not a byproduct of physical matter. Rather, matter is a manifestation of consciousness. The book explains that our thoughts, beliefs, and expectations literally shape the reality we experience. This is not merely metaphorical, it's a fundamental law of the universe. The manuscript describes how souls in the non-physical realms create their experiences through consciousness, and how this same principle operates in the physical world, though it's more subtle and delayed. The book suggests that as humans develop greater awareness of this principle, they gain tremendous power to consciously create their lives and contribute to creating a better world. Finally, the mysterious book concludes with what it presents as the ultimate truth: that existence is fundamentally good, that the universe is fundamentally benevolent, and that all beings are ultimately destined for reunion with divine consciousness. The manuscript acknowledges that this truth can be difficult to perceive when we're caught in the struggles and sufferings of physical life. But the book emphasizes that from the perspective of the soul, from the vantage point of those who have died and experienced the realms beyond, this truth becomes absolutely clear. The universe is not a place of random chaos or divine punishment. It's a carefully orchestrated system designed to facilitate the growth and evolution of consciousness. Every soul, no matter how lost or damaged it might seem, is ultimately on a journey toward healing, growth, and reunion with the divine source from which it came. And this journey, the book assures us, is guided by love, supported by guides and helpers, and ultimately destined for success. We are never truly alone, never truly abandoned, and never without hope. This is the ultimate message of the mysterious book that explains what happens when we die.